Hey there, my friend. I wanted to share a little insight with you today that will help you make more progress as you're working to improve your pronunciation. So, a lot of my students ask the question, is it really possible to change the way that I speak English? And a lot of my students make the observation that actors and actresses do this all the time. How do they do it? So I wanted to share with you 3 things to consider when reflecting on how a performer approaches adopting a new accent or a new way of speaking. So there's 3 important things to consider. First is mindset. So when an actor or an actress approaches a new way of speaking or is studying a new accent, they're not thinking, I need to fix the way I speak. There is something wrong with the way I speak English. I sound terrible in English. I need to get rid of my accent. They're not thinking this way, right? A performer is thinking, I'm going to learn and adapt a new way of speaking so that I can be amazing and authentic in this role that I'm going to play. This is a big difference, right? It's the difference between a negative mindset, negative thoughts filled with, I need to fix myself. There's something wrong. I need to get rid of my accent. Versus a growth mindset where the focus is on learning and developing a new skill. This growth mindset makes a huge difference in how the process of learning is approached. And as a result, it makes a huge difference in the type of progress and results a performer achieves. The second thing to consider is role playing. So when an actor or an actress modifies their voice or uses a different accent, they don't do it all the time. Right? So maybe you've watched someone in a show or a movie, and then maybe you've seen them interviewed on a talk show and been surprised that their native dialect is different than what you thought. Like, I think of Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy, and he plays this American biker badass guy. And then I heard him on an interview and discovered that he was British. I had no idea. Or Bradley Cooper in that movie, A Star is Born, how he uses that deep, gravelly voice, which is very different from his typical speaking voice. So when these performers are not in their role, they're dropping that special way of speaking or they're dropping that additional accent. And why do they do this? Well, because it takes a lot of effort to be deliberately conscious about the way that you're speaking. And if you were doing that all of the time, every single day, it could be really draining. And the third thing to consider is time. So an actor or an actress, when they're developing a new voice or a new accent, it's part of their craft, right? It's their job. So generally, they have more time to dedicate to developing that new voice. Whereas, you and I, as members of the more traditional workforce, don't have that amount of time to dedicate to developing a new voice. I mean, you've got a job to do, right? You've got kids to raise, dogs to walk, meals to prep, errands to run. And somewhere in there, you've got to squeeze in time for self-care, right? I mean, we're busy. So you don't necessarily have that same amount of time that you can dedicate to developing your speech. Now, why do I share this with you? Am I trying to say it's not possible for you to change the way you speak? Absolutely not. It is 100% possible, especially when you follow a step-by-step training program like the one we have in the Clear English Academy. But it's super helpful and hugely beneficial to approach speech and pronunciation training like you are a performer, like you are an actor or an actress. So you want to be conscious of these three things, all right? You've got to be conscious of your mindset. When you're practicing, you've got to catch those negative thoughts and you have to reverse them. Instead of, I'm horrible, I need to fix this, I need to get rid of that, we're going to think about developing a new way of speaking. We're going to embrace having fun and playing with our voice. You're going to remind yourself that you're learning to hear English in a whole new way so that you can speak it in a whole new way. You'll celebrate your progress instead of becoming discouraged when you don't sound 100% like a native speaker. We'll replace negative thoughts with thoughts like, I am learning and improving every day. My voice is a powerful tool for connection. I am kick-ass at speaking English. When you approach speech training like a performer, you think about role-playing. So my students will often say that speaking in a new way feels unnatural. It feels fake. It feels funny. And I tell them that's because you're doing what you should. If it doesn't feel funny, if it feels normal, then you're not breaking any of your old habits. You're not doing anything new. It's normal to feel funny. That gets better with time. But a lot of times it helps to think about this new voice that you're developing, this new way of speaking, as a role that you're playing that you can use when it serves you. So you can step into this role, this new and different voice when you are having conversations with colleagues, when you are meeting with a client, or maybe when you're giving a presentation. And then you can step out of that role when you don't need it, when it doesn't serve you. When you go through the process of speech training, you gain the power to turn on that skill when you need it and turn it off when you don't. And the third thing to consider is time. No, you are not going to have time to dedicate to speech training like it is your job or your craft. But you do have time to set aside specific intervals for training. 5 to 10 minutes a few times a day where you're going to really focus and be conscious and deliberate about your voice and the way it's coming out of the body. You have to be prepared to dedicate this time. It's the only way to make real improvement. So there you have it. When you make these tiny tweaks, thinking about mindset, role playing, and time, then suddenly the sky is the limit, my friend. Speech training becomes fun and easy. Improving your spoken English becomes something that makes you feel empowered instead of anxious. So I want you to think like a performer as you approach your speech and pronunciation training. It will make a world of difference, my friend. And if you're ready to take your English pronunciation to the next level by following a simple step-by-step curriculum, then be sure to click on the link below and you can get started in the Clear English Academy today. That's all for now. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.